two hand, cut behind the head. Yes, hard. There you go. Hello, what you got, dunks?
As of right now, Lamelo Ball is an NBA player, and his childhood dream finally came true as he was drafted 3rd overall by the Charlotte Hornets. In his short time in the NBA, Lamelo has already made NBA history. For one, he has managed to get many NBA fans to tune in and watch the Charlotte Hornets. And two, he's currently the youngest player in NBA history to post a triple-double on a list that has other NBA greats and superstars like Luka Doncic, LeBron, and even his older brother Lonzo. As I make this video, it's also clear that he has a chance of becoming the Rookie of the Year. But it's always easy to see the shine while forgetting the grind. Lamelo's journey was one like no other, from becoming the most famous and one of the most popular high school players, to then being the most hated, and then back to being the golden boy because basketball fans are just, I don't know. From being the youngest player with a signature shoe to that same shoe being one of the reasons that he wouldn't be eligible to play college basketball. And let's not forget all the traveling and games played overseas that had a free-spirited kid whom we all knew turn into a clearly angry and frustrated young man who was also dealing with other personal issues. But everything comes back around full circle, and for Lamelo it finally did, and all his work and adversity proved to be worth something. Welcome to this video. We will be taking a look at Lamelo's journey to the league, just as a reminder of how different his path to the NBA was, and a reminder of the adversity he went through leading up to this point. Be sure to like this video and leave your thoughts after watching it, and if you're new, I hope you enjoy it, and I'd appreciate it if you check out my other videos. But let's get right into it. We can't talk about Lamelo and not talk about the Ball family. We all know that Lamelo is the youngest of 3 brothers, as there's also Lonzo and LiAngelo, and their infamous dad LeVar. And for much of his life, that was Lamelo's identity. He was LeVar's son or Lonzo's little brother. LeVar had a plan for his boys to become basketball players, and this is something I've already talked about in another video, so be sure to check it out after this. But even though Lamelo was the youngest, he was no exception to LeVar's plan. In fact, LeVar saw his young age as an opportunity and not a limitation. So he played Lamelo in games with his older brothers against older competition, something that would become a recurring motif in Lamelo's journey. And like his brothers, even Lamelo fell in love with basketball at a young age, so much so that in elementary school he wrote a poem that had lines that included, "I want to be in the NBA and I dream about going to the NBA." However, I just have to talk about young Lamelo's shot because man, that's like if "What Are Those" was a jump shot. We're grateful for growth and strength because bruh. Lamelo played AAU games and tournaments together with his brothers. LeVar's boys were killing it. But at this time they were still under the radar until they got to high school. There was a young point guard heading to UCLA who was garnering a lot of attention, the oldest brother Lonzo Ball. He was leading perhaps the nation's best high school team, which had his brothers on it. The Ball brothers had become an internet sensation, and for different reasons, fans couldn't help but notice the youngest player on the court, Lamelo, who was 14 at the time. He had reclassified to a higher grade because his dad wanted him to play on the high school team along with his brothers, and during Lonzo's time at Chino Hills, the public school beat teams known for basketball that he had no business beating. They were racking up views, and the fame was increasing daily. And again, for some reason, Lamelo got the most attention from fans, mostly because of his flashy playstyle, his look, and I think the biggest reason was his unwavering confidence. He was putting up 16 points and 4 assists that year, but he was only going to get better. After Lonzo graduated, Lamelo became the main attraction for fans, and he was doing things that were earning him even more attention. He was putting up even crazier numbers and was breaking the internet like no one's business. In one game, he scored 65 points, and that game caught the attention of MVP Steph Curry, and what caught his attention wasn't the 65 points, but the way Lamelo just casually walked up to the half court while pointing at the line only to pull up and drain the shot.
This is totally off topic, but I was wondering if you saw the high school player that pulled up from half court, Lamelo Ball. Did you see that highlight?
I did. That was some confidence right there. The fact that he made it. I wonder if he's done it before and missed it. And that right there was pretty unbelievable though. For him to call a shot like Babe Ruth and knock it down and act like nothing happened. So shout out to him.
We thought he displayed confidence from that shot, but less than 2 months later, Lamelo gave us a performance that solidified him as the most intriguing ball brother. On senior night, and the day where his older brother LiAngelo wasn't able to play due to injury, Lamelo pulled up and gave a team 92 points. 92. And even though Lamelo wasn't looking to score that many points, he wasn't surprised by it. And he expressed that he could have scored even 100 if he put his mind to it.
Are you surprised at what happened?
Surprised? I wouldn't say that, but it's kind of like cool how you got to 92. I wasn't expecting to get that high.
How many do you think you could have scored last night?
If I knew, if I was going for that high, I believe in the hundreds.
Moving on, between the 92-point game and the half-court shot, Lamelo received a lot of attention on the court, but fans were also getting an inside look on who Lamelo was as a person. And people were loving it for the most part. He was a fun, funny, free-spirited, and laid-back character off the court, much like his game.
At practices, you guys are going hard. Who pushes you the most?
No one in practice can guard me, so it's really nothing. We can put the camera on him, too. Just put the camera on him. That man right there, that's the man who can't guard me. Turn it left. I take his ankles every day. Go one more. See the boy in the hoodie. He hiding for a reason. They all know the deal. Yes, I took Old Soul. I did.
In fact, even after getting drafted, his teammate Terry Rozier said that he has never seen a rookie as happy as Lamelo. But it was around the time of the 92-point game and the half-court shot that things began to change. The Ball family were becoming real celebrities from their brand, and they now had their own show, Ball in the Family. Around this time, the family was getting a lot of coverage, and it was really amplifying the hate and scrutiny that many people felt and directed towards the family. And Lamelo wasn't an exception. Some people are actually pointing out facts like how he had poor shot selection and too much freedom, which wouldn't help him develop for the next level. And one of the people that pointed this out was Lamelo's coach, who wasn't getting along with LeVar Ball. And other people were just straight hating. Even with the hate, the family was still making baller moves. In that same year, Lamelo got his own signature shoe under his dad's brand, the MB1. He became the youngest player ever with a signature shoe and even had a song made about him and the shoe. It seemed like Lamelo was living the dream, and a few months before that he had taken part in the most watched AAU game of all time when his team faced off against SC Supreme, an AAU team with a star player by the name of Zion Williamson. Even NBA players came to watch that game, and word on the street was that LeBron wanted to pull up but was advised not to due to security reasons. This was perhaps the peak of Lamelo's fame and publicity, but he had no idea that everything was about to change. One thing that I should probably mention is that in 2017, their mother, Tina Ball, suffered a stroke, and in 2017, the same year, LiAngelo's incident in China took place. And also, due to LeVar's relationship with Lamelo's coach, LeVar saw it fit for Lamelo to quit high school basketball to play overseas in Lithuania with LiAngelo. This time, Lamelo became the youngest American player to play professional basketball, but this was the beginning of adversity that would give us a new Lamelo Ball. Lamelo now had to play with grown men who were doing this for a living. The two brothers, on the other hand, were teenagers who had a reputation of being celebrities or Hollywood in a sense. And having LeVar as their dad did not help their image either. The game itself was supposed to be an adjustment, but they now had to deal with adapting to their new environment. Lamelo's usual ball-dominant play style was now being questioned because it didn't work in professional basketball, which is a team game, which includes sets and plays, so he was struggling to score and even get in the game. And on top of that, his teammates weren't very fond of him.
For Lamelo, it wasn't very good. I mean, he barely played in the Lithuanian League games. One former teammate described him to me earlier today as lazy and arrogant, wasn't really engaged in the whole process. played undisciplined, which we've seen in a
Not only were they calling him lazy, but they were also low-key picking on him in the locker room, in a playful way, but you could tell that it still bothered him as he went on to say that he didn't feel supported by the team, something Evangelo made mention of. His time in Lithuania proved to be unsuccessful, and he seemed like the free-spirited kid we knew was changing before our eyes. The boys would once again move from Lithuania, and Lavar claimed that it was because he didn't get along with the coach, but who knows. They would come back to the States, and Lamelo had matured a little bit as a player and as a person, but there was still more adversity ahead of him. Lamelo and LiAngelo now played for their father's newly assembled league for high school players who didn't choose to go to college, the JBA. And in pure Lavar fashion, every team had the same name. It was the city name, followed by Ballers. And it only lasted for a little while, until they decided to go on a world tour, traveling to different places. They made appearances in countries like Poland, Denmark, the UK, and even made it back to Lithuania, where Lamelo's frustration that was suspected by many was finally displayed to the world.
Just be able to shoot it whenever you're open. It goes out of bounds, but whoa.
Though you could say it was just one fight, for me it proved what I had suspected for a long time, which was that Lamelo was unhappy with the whole situation. The fight led to Lamelo being ejected, which cost them the game, and you know Lamelo couldn't get away with that with Lavar around, and so we got one of the most dramatic episodes of their show. But not too long after that, Lavar and Lamelo both began to notice that if Lamelo was to play in the NBA, he'd have the best chances to do that if he went back to the US. This was the beginning of what looked like Lavar toning down the marketing and focusing more on Lamelo's journey to the league. Perhaps it was because LiAngelo's path had proven to be unsuccessful, so they didn't want the same to happen for Lamelo. He was now heading to Spire Academy in Ohio, and he was finally at a prep school under proper coaches, and the Lamelo that went to Spire was not the one we were used to. The kid who left for Lithuania was now a 6'7" young man with an NBA build and NBA potential. And to make it even better, his coach was a former NBA player who acknowledged his talent and who is still focused on developing him into an elite player. You could tell Lamelo was happy with this decision because he was becoming that lighthearted Melo that we once knew. All that time spent abroad along with his signature shoe came at a cost. Lamelo violated NCAA rules by playing overseas, which cost him his eligibility. You could also say that the NCAA was just hating on him because no schools offered him and they never publicly announced that he wasn't eligible. Even the rankings had him as the 13th player in the country, but in hindsight, we know that probably wasn't right. But even still, at 13, he wasn't invited to the McDonald's All-American game, the Jordan Brand Classic, or any of those games which usually focus on the top 25 players. But it's all good though, because Lavar gave him his own All-American game. But given all he had been through, not being invited to those games was nothing, and not being offered by colleges was also nothing. He would make his way overseas once more, but this time, it was his decision.
Next year, take my talents to the NBL and play for the Illawarra Hawks.
Excellent, over in Australia.
Yep.
He made his way to Australia and balled out. He was now playing with former NBA players and high-level pros and was fitting in. His teammates this time were also impressed with him. Former NBA player Aaron Brooks stated that Lamelo surprised him because he didn't act or work like he was any different from other teammates, which was contrary to what people expected from him. He balled out in Australia, won the Rookie of the Year award, and on top of that, he even bought a team while he was there. Much of his journey was on display to the public, and it's safe to say it wasn't an easy one. But I think it's also safe to say that it was all worth it. The rest is history. He was drafted at number 3, and it might not be an easy road in the NBA, but pressure bursts pipes and pressure makes diamonds, and Lamelo proved that the pressure and adversity will only continue to refine him. That's it for the video. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment. Until next Wednesday, peace.